it. You get to determine you get to determine how the minerals, the resources, any of the materials, chemical or whatnot, that may be produced or used or exchanged or bartered or whatever that may look like. You get to determine all of that because you have the determination, along with the other people who are also respected to that land. You all get to collectively decide how those resources are going to be sent, how they're going to be spent, how they're going to be sold. But if you don't have control of your land, then you have situations like Haiti where the French just are not giving up. But neither are the Haitian people, and neither is the Haitian Revolution. And anybody who understands that oppression simply must go, we're not giving up either. We believe in Haiti, we stand with Haiti, and we are with them until the last day where nobody else can take a breath, because we believe that Haiti deserves to have their land back. Just like we want other Africans who belong to the African nation to understand that Africa belongs to the Africans and we deserve to have Africa back. And so, just thinking more about that, we have Haiti reaching their independence in 1804, and then we have the colonial but also imperialist powers that are moving up and doing everything they can to torment, sabotage, dehumanize, kill, murder, rape, whatever that may look like against the Haitian people. Anything that they can do to remind them that they will get control again, and to remind Haitian people that the French are not giving up because they see the value that the land of Haiti brings to them. They see the value of that. And like anything else we do in life, there's going to be struggle. And when you struggle, that's really when the progress happens, right? And so the Haitian people have been working really hard to push back and to resist. And we've seen more of it coming up in the news lately. But if you've been keeping up with your political education, some of these articles have already been written, decades ago about what Haiti is doing to fight back. And so we're starting to see it more now because the imperialist entities are trying to, again, progress and send you a message where Haiti is looking like the villain when really it's the other way around, right? And so kind of monopolizing on this mistruth, if you will, when really that's not the case, right? And if you didn't know any better, you would say, oh my gosh, why don't they just understand that they can share the land with the French? That's the argument that's happening with Occupy Palestine right now, right? You probably work with people or know people, or you probably yourself have said at one point, why can't they just split the land up? When really it boils down to something very simple. If you have your favorite toy, right? Maybe as an adult, your toy is a GoPro camera, right? Or maybe as an adult, your toy is a device that maybe you use to inhale some type of substance, right? Maybe as an adult, your toy is a favorite leash that you have because you love taking your dog to the dog park. Whatever your item is that you have access to, and you determine how it gets used. You determine if you want to sell it. You determine how you want to pay for it and how much money you want to pay for it. Like, you determine those things. And then to think about somebody coming up to you and just saying, yeah, I'm going to take this now. And there's no question, there's no discourse, there's no conversation, there's no communication, there's nothing like that. You just now don't have access to that thing that brought you so much joy. More than that, now that you have lost it, no one respects you anymore because you don't have access to that anymore. And so, for you to make the argument, or for your coworker or whoever you work with to say, why can't they just split the land? That's because people really don't understand what colonization is at its root. They really don't understand that. They don't understand what imperialism is. And we've done a seminar on imperialism, so we're not going to go into that today. But just short end of the stick, imperialist understanding 101, just understand that it is the highest stage of capitalism. And imperialism really is the worst stage of capitalism, if you ask me, because not only are you still promoting private corporations to make money, but you're also controlling how lands are using their economic, material, excuse me, not material, military resources. So if you control their military, then you get to determine how they protect themselves when other entities try to come in and take those resources. If you control their military, then you control how they protect themselves when there's threats brought against them. If you control that, then you get to control the policies and the politics that are coming up. If you control that, then you get to control the economic wealth You get to control the economic system itself. You get to control where all that money and proceeds, probably from the military weapons that are being sold and the taxes that are being paid for those military weapons. Does this sound familiar? You get to determine how all of that works. So imperialism is a horrible system that we all should be completely against if we know anything about what it represents. And so to understand that you have both the colonial and the imperial, not companies, but systems that are taking over and trying to regain power over Haiti and the Haitian people, that is not something that we want to stand idly by and not do anything about. We have a responsibility. These methods have been happening for close to 220 years. So this is not going away anytime soon. This will continue to be a problem for Haiti, and we have a responsibility to stand with them. It's been really hard for them to regain their independence because they are forced with having to fight these powers that are more involved, that are more engaged, that have more weapons of mass destruction, that have more to lose, if you ask me. And so they have to fight against all of these things because they're literally fighting to keep the one thing that was already theirs to begin with. And like I said, with my analogy, now the French have decided, well, if we can't have their land, then we will completely tear up the land in the process of tearing up this humanity of people so that we can get it back. And really, what we're talking about is another example of inhumanity at its finest, right? You just deciding that you're more valuable than another group of people, and deciding that because you really want something, you're willing to kill all these people just so you can get it. I mean, what kind of person is that? What kind of system is that? What kind of group of people is that, right? But these are the same people that are running the US and that took the indigenous people's land of the Western Hemisphere. These are the same people that have been colonizing and stealing from Africa. These are the same people that are making things really difficult for African people everywhere, including Haiti, which is where we know African people live. We see this happening in occupied Palestine, same exact thing, where because you want something, you're just deciding that you're going to kill everybody else in the process who's standing in your way so you can get it, right? I mean, we're talking about vicious, savage people, you all. That's what we're talking about. And so as I prepare to close and pass it back to Comrade Ajamu, I'll just say that, we understand that the French have been working really hard to prevent Haiti from reaching independence anymore. And they want that reality to become one where there is a political and economic system that is in place where it really will cause instability for the rest of the island. So I'm thinking about man, I am losing my word right now. I'm thinking about the blockade. I think that's what it's called. I'm thinking about the blockade in Cuba and how we have our comrades in Cuba who are having issues with getting resources because the United States is literally intercepting any ships that are bringing materials, medical supplies, education supplies, clothing, food, anything that these folks can benefit from. The U.S. is blocking any and all ships from coming into that island. I remember our comrades talking about when with the Hood Communist Organization, they had actually went to Cuba for a conference, and they spoke about how people were in line trying to get gasoline for hours. And I do mean hours, like 5 to 8 hours, trying to get gasoline because oil has not been shipped into the island because the US is doing everything they can to stop those resources from coming in. And so I guess I'm just making the comparison that we know the US is capable of penalizing and making things really difficult for any group of people that are showing that they can fight back, right? So we understand that that's the norm. We understand that that's how it goes, which is why we shouldn't be surprised that these things are happening, but we also should start to expect that we need to have a better way of dealing with them. This is why we need to stand with Haiti. This is why we need to stand with Palestine and Palestinian people. This is why we need to stand with Haitian people. This is why we need to stand with African people. And this is why African people that don't live in Haiti and that don't live in Africa need to understand their responsibility to the African nation. You need to understand that you have a responsibility to Haiti, just like Haiti and Haitian people understand that they have responsibility to you. And Krumah said it best. Any African, which means you are African if you descend from the African nation. And he said, any African that belongs to the African nation is African. And so just taking that responsibility, understanding that this is bigger than yourself, understanding that this is bigger than yourself. The theme we had for African Liberation Day could not have been more perfect. It is the same struggle for any oppressed person. Basic colonization 101. The bully comes in and takes your land, which means they get to take all your power, your wealth, and everything. And then they make you suffer, if not kill you, for trying to stick around after they have taken control over all your stuff. That is the bottom line. And when we fight back and get our land back, we are penalized beyond measure for that. But that doesn't mean we stop fighting. And it doesn't mean that we just fight for ours. It means we fight for others who are suffering, because their wins, when they get their land back, is a win for us. And when we win, it's a win for them, because that makes the colonizer and the oppressor that much more weaker. So as I close, you all need to join an organization that's working for justice. You need to increase your political education, which is why you should be in this organization, so that you can discuss these kind of issues that are happening with other people, and you can have a better understanding of the global oppression that we are facing, the global colonization that we are facing. You can enhance your mind and learn more about all of these different examples of the same struggle taking place. And the more you start to connect the dots, the more sense it's going to make that the colonizer and the oppressor are the ones who are wrong, even though they've been telling you all these years that they are right. And you will start to understand just how many lies have been fed to you over the years. And from there, hopefully, you'll start to understand that capitalism actually cannot be trusted. And from there, I mean, the sky's the limit, right? From there, we can do whatever we need to do to organize and to rally with others who are organizing. So join an organization that's working for justice, increase your political education, because the people in Haiti need you. And this is bigger than you. So you have a responsibility to them, and they already know and are working hard to help you, because they know they have a responsibility to you. Ashe.
Obrigada, Asante Sana, Midasi. Thank you very much. And I think before we get started with the digging deeper into what's happening in Haiti, you had asked Shakura about the comment, the quote. Actually, I think you're thinking of Fred Hampton made the comment, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution. Huey P. Newton made a very similar comment when he said the man's technology will never equal the spirit of the people. So I think maybe there was, some confusion about those two, but they mean the same thing. And I think that that's consistent with what we're talking about today as it relates to what's happening in the Caribbean with Haiti. And I think, as revolutionary Pan-Africanists, it's important to state clearly that we don't look at Haiti as a country in the Caribbean that we need to support just because it's the right thing to do. That's not what we're saying here. What we're saying here is that those Africans in Haiti are there because of the transatlantic slave trade. That's how they got there, the same way we got here. And the only difference between us and them is that the ship turned right and dropped us off here, and it turned left and dropped them off there. You very easily and most likely have biological kin in Haiti, in other countries in the Caribbean. That's the only thing that separates you, me, and them, is a damn boat stop. So we don't get wrapped up in confusion around, those types of questions. We know that we are the same people. And that's why we fight for Pan-Africanism. Last week at African Liberation Day in Oakland, a comrade that I've known for decades showed up, and he was somewhat agitated. Why, I don't know, but he was telling me that we need to understand the contradictions. When he went to Cuba, I'm glad he went to Cuba. I went there 30 years ago, but I'm glad he finally went. So he went, and he was saying that he talked to African people in Cuba, and they were telling him asking him why people don't talk about race problems that they have in Cuba. And this was, this was one of these serious, like, awakening moments for him to realize this. And nobody has more genuine support for the Cuban Revolution than those of us in the All African People's Revolutionary Party. And that's genuine, sincere, and it's well, the foundation for it is very strong. Like APRP cadre like myself, you don't want to run into us and talk nonsense about the Cuban Revolution, because you will look bad. So we support without question the Cuban Revolution. But I responded to this person by explaining to him that this is why we fight for Pan-Africanism. He's like, what? I said, because the whole point is that how are you expect anybody to be respected? Cuba has done a lot to try to eliminate racist attitudes. They've implemented African history in their school system. That doesn't happen here. In fact, they're trying to deny that there is an African history in this backward cesspool. And I'm not comparing Cuba to the US because I don't think there is a comparison. But my point is that they have tried everything in the Cuban Revolution to push back against racism. But the reality is that, like all of these, the Western Hemisphere, the African existence in these territories is based on us building up the wealth for the capitalist system. So never will our history be properly told in that context. They have to lie about it because that's the justification for why they're on top and why we're not. The minute they admit that, well, that's the case because of what we did, then it just thoroughly discredits everything that they're doing. They're never going to do that. These are people without consciences, as Shakur said. So that's why I said to the person, like, that's why we fight for Pan-Africanism. That's our dignity. When we have power, Pan-Africanism equals power for the African masses. And then that will change how people see us and interact with us. And it will change how we see ourselves and interact with each other. So I just wanted to make that point. And then building on that, just the history of sabotage in Haiti against the Haitian people. You have to recognize that for decades, right, going back to the 1950s, because just like our struggle is international, revolutionary Pan-Africanism, it's not about just Haiti, it's not about just the US or Brazil or Nigeria, it's about African people everywhere on earth, centered around our mother, Africa. How the hell are we going to get respected and our mothers disrespected? Where have you ever seen that happen? What people on earth have pride, dignity, and self-determination disconnected from their history and culture? There is no people on earth who have that. And it's only Negroes in the US and the United States who constantly keep saying that we can have that, being disconnected from our history and our culture from Africa. So if you look at Haiti, if you look at the forces that repress Haiti and oppress the Haitian people, they're the same forces that oppress and repress the African masses here. They're the same people that repress and oppress Africa and the African masses on the African continent. They're an international network of thieves, thugs, crooks, and criminals. And so going back to the 1950s and 60s, the US, France, and all of these imperialist powers propped up the Papa Doc Duvalier regime. And there's a picture there of Papa Doc Duvalier on the right. And then after he died in the 70s, his son, Baby Doc Duvalier, in the 70s and 80s. So for almost a half century, these neo-colonial puppets served the interests of international imperialism by brutally oppressing the people of Haiti. And these years were represented by mass terror against the Haitian people. Thousands of people were disappeared during these years, hundreds of thousands of people. And armed gangs were recruited and used by these regime thugs to ensure their dominance over the people. So today they're telling you, the problem in Haiti is gangs. Just like they're telling you the problem in African neighborhoods in the United States is gangs and drug dealers, when they're the ones who created the conditions where gangs had to exist in the first place. They're the ones who created and brought the drugs into Haiti, into the United States, into Brazil. They're the ones, it's like Malcolm X said, they put the alcohol in our communities. We buy it, drink it, then they arrest us for being on the streets with it. So this is the system and the cycle of oppression that they merit out against us. And this has defined the brutality against the Haitian people for decades, right? And then if we want to better understand the crisis in Haiti, we have to look at, after decades of this institutionalized terror, the late 1980s and the early 90s offered a sincere glimmer of hope for Haiti in the presence of the Famille Lavalas political party, which represented the first democratic opportunity that the people of Haiti had since 1804 to create a society that would bring about justice and forward progress for the masses of people on that island nation. And so in 1990, Lavalas easily won the first democratic election in Haiti's history. They had unquestionable support. Upwards of 80% of the people supported Lavalas, Famille Lavalas, in the presence of Jean-Claude Aristide, who was elected president in 1990 in Haiti. But the problem for imperialism with that is that a democratic Haiti, this was not ever going to be acceptable to imperialism. They already had the problem of Cuba in the Caribbean. The Caribbean is not that large. And you already have Cuba there with the Cuban Revolution. Now, if you would have had a developing consciousness and a true democracy, not the sham democracy that you think you have in this backward cesspool, but real democracy in Haiti, you already have a Puerto Rican independence movement, a militant Puerto Rican independence movement. You already have a militant movement in the Dominican Republic. You already have these kind of elements surfacing in Jamaica and other parts of the Caribbean. So they could not run that risk. And so Lavalas and Aristide were not in power more than a few months before U.S. troops went into Haiti under this Platt Amendment and these Brown Acts and all of these imperialist laws that they put in place decades ago to justify them being the biased police force for capitalism all over the planet or all over the Western Hemisphere. And they went into Haiti. U.S. troops went into Haiti. Can you imagine Haitian troops coming into the U.S.? I mean, they would never be seen as anything except invading terrorists. Well, then that means that U.S. troops going into Haiti, especially when history supports the analysis that they're invading thugs and crooks, that's exactly what they were. And they removed Aristide from power. The U.S., France, and all of these thug militaries removed Lavalas, but the people of Haiti were undeterred. And even though they removed Lavalas and Aristide in 1990, by a couple of years later, by 1993, 94, Aristide and Lavalas were back. And then they were removed again, this time by the Clinton administration here, militarily. First, it was the Bush administration, the elder Bush, the elder cracker Bush. And then it was the Clinton administration. Then it happened again in 2004 under the younger cracker Bush administration. They had to push back and remove Aristide 3 times from power because of his popularity of Lavalas and what they were doing to truly democratize Haiti and take Haiti under out from under the oppression of French colonialism, neocolonialism, U.S. neocolonialism, capitalist exploitation, right? So it's important to understand that because some of you probably will say, well, when Shakur describes the conditions in Cuba that are largely based on the 62-year U.S. economic blockade against Cuba, where they prevent anybody from doing any business with Cuba, many of you without really understanding the impacts of that blockade or not caring or whatever your problem is, you will say, well, the fact that they have to stand in line for 5-6 hours for gas, that's proof that that socialism doesn't work. I mean, I hear that all the time from backward thinking people. But if you really believe that, then you'd have to extend that logic, because Haiti has been under capitalist domination for centuries, and it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. So based on your backward ass logic, then capitalism without question is a doomed system. But we know that that's true. That's certainly true. There's no question about that. But Haiti is always going to be a specific case because of the resistance that the people have engaged in against U.S. imperialism, against French imperialism, against colonialism, and all those things. They are a living, breathing example for the African masses all over the planet Earth. And this is why imperialism works so hard to crush, as I just described to you, any efforts to bring true democracy to Haiti. They're going to go all out with all the resources they have at their disposal to destroy those efforts. That's what imperialism is going to do, because they don't want that example. Because even though we are confused and we think, well, I'm Black American, and those people in Haiti, I don't really have anything to do with that. We're stupid and we're confused. Our enemies are not stupid and they are not confused. They know that a strong Haiti coupled with a strong Cuba, and then think about a strong Puerto Rico and a strong Dominican Republic. These are African faces in all of these countries of dignity. And that is dangerous, because even the most sleepy Negroes in the United States of America, when they start to see that on a consistent basis, are going to at some point become inspired to get out from under the yoke of Uncle Sam, get out from Negrodom and graham cracker reality, and start to live as dignified human beings. And so this is the risk that imperialism is not willing to take. Because African people, because of their backward system of oppression, we are all over the world. All over the world. There's a large percentage of African people in the Scandinavian countries now. We're a large percentage of us in Britain, in France, in Belgium, in Germany. Large percentages of us in these places. Large percentages of us in Canada. Of course, in the United States. We're dominant in countries like Belize. We have large percentages of us in Mexico and Guatemala and El Salvador. There are large percentages of African people that make up the dominant population in the Caribbean countries that I've been naming. There are large percentages of African people in countries like Brazil and Venezuela and other countries in South America. So any African people anywhere who rise up and thumb their nose in imperialism, that's inspiration for African people everywhere. And the more of us who are inspired by that to act against imperialism, the more imperialism knows its days are numbered. So this is why they tried their best effort to put their foot on the necks of the Haitian people, because as we've said, since 1804, they have been one of the primary examples of inspiration by African people anywhere on earth. And so let's talk about the current reality. Today, the president of Haiti is a neo-colonial puppet, Ariel Henry, and he is only kept in power through the military and economic actions. And when I say military, I'm talking about the U.S. military and the French military. That's the only reason why this clown is still in power. And the economic support that he receives from countries like the U.S. and France. There is no way, without those backings, he wouldn't last a day as president in Haiti. The people of Haiti know that he represents everything that's wrong with their existence. They are perfectly clear about that. In fact, just recently, this is an example to show you how the Haitian people feel about Ariel Henry is that his administration followed a directive from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. And if you don't know what the IMF is, it's an international bank along with the World Bank that was formed in Connecticut, here in the United States of America in 1944, Bretton Woods, Connecticut. And its stated objective was to become a bank for countries to utilize to develop infrastructure. But its actual purpose was to serve as the financial wing for imperialism. So if you look around the world today, there are only a few countries in the world that aren't dominated by IMF and World Bank policies. Countries like Cuba, North Korea, they're only a handful. The rest of the world is dominated by the IMF. And Haiti is one of those, because I just explained to you, Haiti's had decades of neo-colonial leadership that pulled their pants over and bent down and couldn't wait for the IMF and the World Bank to come into Haiti and dominate the economy of that country. So Ariel Henry followed the directive from the IMF. This just happened this year, and took away what little subsidies were being supplied to the country of Haiti and to many of the, some people in Haiti for oil. And what subsidies are is that the government provides you, like if the price of something is so high, the price of food is so high, the government provides you with funds every month to help you meet the cost of food, to help you meet the cost of oil. That's what subsidies are. So the IMF proposed to the Haitian government stop all those oil subsidies. Even though oil is too expensive for the people in Haiti to buy for heating purposes, it's a luxury to have a car and put oil in it. I'm talking about just to heat up your house and to heat up your food and that sort of thing. So they say, well, stop that. Don't give them any subsidies. And of course, the Ariel Henry regime is a neo-colonialist regime, so they followed that directive. And what this did is it plunged the country into an even deeper crisis, and it made the oil prices even higher than what Shakur is talking about they were in Cuba. And this created mass desperation on behalf of the people in Haiti. And all of this is exacerbated by the continued foreign occupation of U.S. troops, of French troops, of Canadian troops are patrolling the harbors around Haiti to prevent any help from coming in and to prevent anybody from coming out. And then on top of that, the Biden administration just issued or approved its most draconian anti-Haitian immigration policies to date. And that's saying something, because the anti-immigration policies for people of Haiti to come to the U.S. have been, they've been repressive ever since Haiti's been a republic. And so what they're doing is they're wanting to strip the people of Haiti of any possibility of having any independence and any forward progress, and then keep them in this severe state of poverty, arming criminals to repress the people on the island, and ensuring that chaos continues to be the dominant form of existence every day, to ensure that no efforts can gain ground and stability to bring about consistent self-determination for the people of Haiti. And that's important for them to do, because today, as we're talking about it, France robs Haiti of $560 million US a year as a tax. They tax the country of Haiti for colonizing Haiti. That's like somebody robbing you, and then you fight, work hard, get your freedom from them, and then they say, well, now because I don't have you to exploit, I don't have this financial stability I have, so I have to tax you for being free. That's what they're doing. And if you want to really put this in a proper perspective, Haiti's national gross domestic product is only 20 billion US dollars a year. So this means France is stealing about 28% of Haiti's annual revenue. This means France is nothing but a criminal entity. Nothing but that. I mean, you Negroes, Oh, I'm going to France. I mean, you're out of your goddamn mind. If you're going over there, it should be organized to overthrow. Otherwise, you're a part of the problem. I'm not saying you can't go visit somewhere, but you're going there. I've talked to these Negroes. They never had one thought of going anywhere in Africa. I'm going to France. And I'm like, yeah, well, I guess, somebody told me that recently. I'm going on a trip. Where are you going? I'm going to France. And this is a person that had told me before, well, there's nowhere in Africa I would ever want to go. And so I said, well, yeah, it's logical that a slave would go visit their master. I mean, well, why would you say that? I'm so offended. I'm like, I'm offended at you that you even breathe air with that stupidity and that nonsense. I mean, this is what France is doing to us as a people. And any African walking around bragging about, this is why Pan-Africanism is so important and so necessary, because this Pan-Africanism will strip this colonial mentality away. Because what attracts people to countries like France and Britain and Israel and the US is the wealth that exists in those countries. But as we've said a million times, and as we'll say a million more times, all of that wealth is stolen from us, God damn it. So once we get it back, once we seize it, to see the response of these people towards responding to these crooks and thugs. So that's what we want to say in relation to Haiti's close physical distance to the heart of imperialism for Africans all over the planet Earth. And that's why Haiti's example is so important for all of us. Because if you want to understand Haiti, think about a situation you've been in, or even if you haven't been in, just think about it, where there's 5 or 6 of you, and there's a bully, and the bully's bullying everybody. And all of you are afraid of the bully, but one person overcomes their fear and stands up to the bully and says, you know what, I'm not going to allow you to bully us anymore. You might beat me down, but I'm going to keep rising up and I'm going to keep fighting you. That's going to encourage the other 4 of you to do the same thing. And if that happens, you will develop capacity to put that bully on their ass. And they know that. That's why they have to repress that person harder. Well, if you want to understand Haiti, that's what you have to understand. That's what's happening with Haiti today. That's why Haiti is experiencing the repression that it's experiencing. And so when Shakura says we need to stand with Haiti, what that looks like concretely is that if you're African, no matter where you are on the planet Earth, you have to join an African organization fighting for justice and forward human progress. Because again, Pan-Africanism is the ultimate solution to the problems that the people in Haiti face, that the people in Cuba face, African people everywhere. So you don't have to go to Haiti. It's great if you go to Haiti. That's a wonderful thing. But you don't have to, if you think you have to go to Haiti to help support Haitian self-determination, you don't understand what's happening in the world today. What you have to do is get involved in the struggle against the international capitalist and imperialist network led by the United States of America, inclusive of Britain, France, Germany, Belgium, Israel, Canada, Australia, all of these backward-ass capitalist countries. That's who you need to direct your energies towards us organizing to seize power from. And once we do that, you'll be helping Haiti. You'll be helping Venezuela. You'll be helping Cuba, the Dominican, Puerto Rico. You'll be helping Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. You'll be helping Belize. You'll be helping the Africans in Canada and the US. You'll be helping all of the Africans all throughout Europe, and you'll be helping Africa. That's how you do it. Get out of this individualistic perspective. I got to raise money. I got to go there myself, and I got to talk to people myself. If people talk to people, had the conversations you won't even think of for another 5 or 6 years, people have already been there and had those conversations with the people decades ago. Now we're doing the work. Now you want to go there and have a conversation that's already been had just because you got to have it, because you don't think anybody understands anything better than you, and you're actually behind the times. Catch up.
with the work that's taking place. And if you do that, that makes our capacity that much stronger, that much stronger. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to do. That's how we support this and put it into this. So again, Haiti is a living, shining example of African resistance, of African resistance. Haiti is an example of African resistance. And as long as Haiti is that, they are a threat. I don't care if they don't have 50 cents in their pocket. They are a threat. And that is why U.S. imperialism stomps down on them as hard as it does. That is the reason why French imperialism does the same. Plus the fact that France is a pimp and they're pimping Haiti and they want to be able to continue to do that. But the primary thing is the inspiration that the Haitian people provide to all of us all over the planet Earth. So we want the people of Haiti to know that, like Shakur said, we see you, and our contribution is to continue to build this worldwide African fighting force that will connect with other people who are fighting so that we can run these crooks out of each and every one of our lives. And the day that we do that, these problems, we'll have different problems. We'll have problems in terms of how to develop a society, the best ways to implement socialist construction to allow people to meet their full potential. But we welcome those problems. Those are good problems to have. And we will be prepared to engage in that struggle to resolve those problems like we're going to resolve this one. And we thank you for joining us today for this very important topic. Again, there's no way in an hour you can get educated about Haiti. There's so much more I would love to say about Haiti, but the point that we make when we do this program, you all, is that we hope that we can inspire you to want to know more and to recognize that the best way to do that is in an organized fashion, not just as an individual. So we hope that we've inspired some to do that today. We want to invite you back next week, Sunday, June 9th, same time, same place, same platforms. We're going to be talking about the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and their organizing model. SNCC and their organizing model. We're going to talk about how SNCC changed the game with this question of organization versus mobilization. Very, very important topic today because it's still a dominant struggle in the struggle for justice among activists today. The question of organization and mobilization. So we're going to talk about that using SNCC's contribution. So we invite you back definitely next week. The upper left-hand corner QR code, the Forward Ever shop, go there, buy revolutionary clothes, encourage other people to shop there, stop running this backward reformist line, support Black businesses, support revolutionary African organization. That's what we should be doing first and foremost, because just by definition, that is something that when you support it, you bring the support back to you and the communities of African people all over the world. And as it comes to the All African People's Revolutionary Party, you can say whatever the hell you want to say about us, but nobody can deny that we give to the people. We give information, we give training, we give institutional, we build infrastructure. We do that all over the world. And the only people that can say that we don't are people that don't know what the hell they're talking about. So support the Forward Ever shop, please. Support hoodcommunist.org, Revolutionary Pan-Africanist blog. You definitely can find information about that in that QR code in the upper left-hand corner. And then we want to invite you to join the All African People's Revolutionary Party. Go to www.aprp-intl.org. Look at the video. Think about, I want to commit some of my time to this process and join. It's time to do that. And if you want to make a contribution to the APRP, which you should, the bottom left-hand corner, you see our Venmo and our PayPal accounts. Please do that. Our organizing efforts in Burkina Faso are in the bottom right QR code. You can sign up to contribute to the Thomas Sankara Center for Liberation and Pan-African Unity, which is work the APRP is doing in Burkina Faso. Or you can contribute, if you contribute to the APRP and the Venmo and PayPal account. You're contributing to all of our work on the African continent. And of course, I want you to tell people about my book, A Guide for Organizing Defense Against White Supremacist, Patriarchal, and Fascist Violence. This is how I fund the work that I do. You know, I bought materials for some of these encampments. You know, that comes out of my pocket. I'm training them on self-defense because Zionists and white supremacists want to attack them. So it comes out of my pocket. If I don't have, you know, additional resources, I can't do it. So the more books that I sell, the more I'm capable of doing that. So please help in that regard. I know you got the book. People love to tell me, I already got the book. Okay, but damn, you went to Shell Oil. If you check your bank statement, you went there 20 times last month. You didn't go one time and say, well, I went to Shell already. You keep going. So that's how we got to look at our struggle for justice. You got to keep coming back and supporting it. And I'm not saying you have to buy books, more books yourself individually. Get out of that individualist mindset. I'm saying invite people to your house for a book study. Order 10 books and have the people buy them. It's only $8. You can make a little couple extra dollars doing that. And find ways, be creative. Jesus Christ, like figure out how to help the struggle get stronger. That's all we're trying to say, family. So we appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining us. We want to wish you a very wonderful rest of your Sunday afternoon or whatever day you're watching this. For whatever, backwards never.